so good to see you this week. Thank you for coming in for your lesson this week. I hope you had a happy Easter. I know it's a little different this year, but hopefully you had a great time with your family and you're able to dye some eggs and have some fun. So I'm so glad that you're here. We are going to talk about Breakfast with Jesus today. It's my favorite lesson. I'm so excited to be able to share it with you. Out of everything, this is just my most favorite. I think it's so cool how Jesus did this. So we're going to jump right into it. So Peter was one of Jesus's friends, one of his disciples. He loved Jesus so much. And he actually, when Jesus was going to go down on the cross, Jesus told him, you know, Peter, this is going to happen, and you're going to say that you don't know me 3 times because you'll be scared. And Peter said, what? No, I would never do that. I would die for you. I would never do that. Never, ever, ever. And so he told him again, you will. You'll deny me 3 times. So when Jesus was going and carrying his cross and dying on the cross, that in fact did happen. Peter was called out by a couple of people, and they, recognized him by being one of Jesus's followers and said, he knows Jesus. And Peter was so scared because they were doing this to Jesus, and he was afraid that they were going to do it to him too. So he was really afraid. And so he said, no, I'm not him. I don't know him. I don't know Jesus. And it didn't happen not once, not twice, but 3 times that happened, just like Jesus had told him it would. So Peter was feeling really bad about that. And after Jesus had died and they had seen that the tomb was empty, he had disappeared from the tomb, Peter was just kind of down. He was really sad because Jesus was like his best friend. And could you imagine not having your best friend around? That may have happened to you before, actually. You remember how sad that can be? Peter was really down, and he was missing his friend because he didn't know where he was. So he was hiding out still because they were afraid to go out and be seen by people just in case. And he just got so fed up with being so sad. He said, I can't sit here and not do anything. I'm going to go fishing. Let's go fishing. So the other disciples around him said, okay, we'll go with you. So that is where we are. We are going to still be in the book of John. That's going to be in the New Testament, just like last week. We're going to be in the book of John, chapter 21 is where we're going to start with this. So John 21. And so Peter was just still pretty upset, and so they went out at night and they got in a boat, him and a couple of the other disciples. John was one of them, and they went out into the sea, and they were trying to fish and catch fish all night long, and they didn't catch one fish. Now, remember, Peter, before he decided to follow Jesus a few years back, he was a fisherman. That's what he did for his job. So this was really weird that he couldn't even catch fish like he used to could. And he just was so frustrated. So they were fishing all night, didn't catch anything. And then in the morning, they were still pulling up empty nets, and they didn't understand what was going on. And then all of a sudden, this man appeared up at the shore. It's like, you could barely see him, but he yelled out to him and he said, hey, have you caught anything? Peter went, who is this guy? He can see I don't have any fish. Because remember, he's kind of frustrated and probably a little annoyed that he hasn't been able to catch anything all night long. And he just, really? Now this man's sitting here asking me if I've caught anything when clearly I haven't. And He said, no, I haven't caught anything. We don't have anything. So the man at the shore said, throw your net on the other side of the boat. And Peter, well, that's weird. But there was just something about this man. He wanted to do what he said. So he threw his net on the other side of the boat. And wouldn't you know, it was full of fish. Full of fish. It was so full that they couldn't even pull the net back up on the boat. It was too full. So finally, John looked out at the shore and he recognized who it was, and he turned to Peter and he said, that's Jesus. That's who that is. And Peter went, what? And he looked and he recognized him, and he couldn't even wait for the boat to get to the shore. He jumped right in the water and swam to Jesus. He was so excited to see him. He was so happy. So he swam to shore and came up to Jesus, and he couldn't believe it. It was him. He was so happy. Not long after that, the other disciples had come on the boat and dragging the net full of fish still in the water because they couldn't pull it into the boat. And they saw for themselves also that it was Jesus, and they were so happy to see him. And Jesus said, come on over here with me. I've got something for you. And he had made breakfast for them. He had some bread, and he had a fire going to cook the fish that they had caught on. And he told them, bring some of the fish that you just caught, and we'll get that cooked up, and we can have breakfast together. So they all gathered around, and they were discussing with Jesus everything, and he was feeding them like he always seemed to do in the Bible. And so Jesus turned to Peter and he said, Peter, do you love me? And Peter said, of course, yes, I do. And he said, well, feed my lambs, talking about his people. And then again, Jesus said, Peter, do you love me? And Peter said, yes, of course I do. I do. I love you. And Jesus said, take care of my sheep, meaning his people. And for the third time, Jesus said, Peter, do you love me? And Peter said, of course, you know all things. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep, meaning his people. What Jesus was doing is he was forgiving Peter for each time Peter had denied him earlier. So when Peter was saying, no, I don't know Jesus, I don't know that man, all 3 times he did that, Jesus was forgiving Peter for doing that. How amazing. How amazing. So that is our lesson for this week. How cool. That's only Jesus could make an entrance like that after dying and coming back to life, and having his disciples going through everything that they were going through, being so scared and worried, and only he could show up at the seashore and yell at them to throw their net over the side of the boat, and so they would catch fish, so many fish that they couldn't even pull on the boat with them. And then after everything, make them breakfast and feed them, and then forgive Peter for what he had done, and also telling him to make sure to take care of the people and tell others about him. So how amazing. That's my favorite lesson, and I'm so happy I was able to share that with you this week. I can't wait to share some more with you next week, and we will see you then. Thank you. Bye.